So why should you care about open tunings? Well, frankly, because they sound better. The thing about the guitar is that it's not a piano. So the wonderful thing about the piano is that you can modulate freely. It's a symmetrical instrument, so you can move from key to key with relative ease. That's 12 keys that just are at your disposal. But the guitar is different. So much of the notes of the guitar, so many of the patterns are kind of hidden within the instrument. So we don't have that same level of flexibility. Some of the voicings in standard from key to key are gonna sound better than others, frankly, just to put it nicely. So when I think about what really gives us an edge as guitar players, it's the fact that we can retune our strings. We have the ability to play in the tuning that best suits our needs. When you play the guitar in open C tuning, the voicings that you're going to find in C major are far more open and beautiful and resonant than the voicings you'll find for C major in standard tuning. If you're a guitar player only playing in standard for your entire career, for your entire life as a musician and guitar player, you're missing out on a vast opportunity to explore new sounds and, frankly, to sound different than most guitarists playing today who only play in standard. So with that, let's jump into 3.5 tunings that you can start using today in the key of C. So the first tuning I want to show you is, I believe, the most standard C, open C tuning. It basically constitutes a C major chord. You've got a C on the bottom here, followed by a G, then a C, then you have another G, a C, and an E. So basically, you have root, fifth, root, fifth, root, and then third. So your major third is on top. The biggest characteristic of this tuning is the higher tension of the upper strings and the lower tension of the lower strings. So you're getting just a much wider frequency spectrum than you'd normally get in standard tuning or a lot of other different tunings. This is a great tuning to obviously play in C major. So the great thing about this and many other open tunings is you're not working against the tuning, especially when you're playing in the right key. So if you're playing in C or G, most of what you play is going to sound good, or at least consonant. And that's just a really nice advantage of this tuning. You can leave strings open and sort of just see what happens and improvise more, versus in standard where you might need to kind of know what you're doing at all times. So it's a very forgiving tuning in that sense. Couple things I'll just mention about this tuning is you obviously have a C major chord here, and then if you bar any fret, you're going to get a major chord. The other thing I'll note is that you'll get the fifth chord, the G, if you put your pointer finger on the third string of the second fret and your pinky on the fourth fret of the fourth string, and that'll give you the fifth chord, so the G. If you put your pointer finger on the second fret of the second string, you can get a sixth chord, so the minor sixth, which in this case is in A minor, and that sounds like this. I believe that's an A minor 7. You can also get a major chord, or like an open sort of major chord with interesting sort of voicings if you put your fingers 4 frets apart. So your pointer finger on the fourth string on the second fret in this case, and your pinky finger on the fifth fret, and that'll give you this sound. So it's a major 7th chord, but you can move that shape around. You can obviously also get major chords by not essentially barring a fret, but just playing certain strings on the fret. Most notably the first string and the sixth string. As long as those two are playing, you'll get some kind of a major chord. So. just like in standard tuning, you'll get some interesting sixths by playing this shape, kind of that D shape. If you put your pinky on, say, the 3rd fret of the 4th string and the 3rd fret of the 6th string. Another variation on that open C tuning we just talked about, I wanted to show you, is this other one where essentially you just take the 2nd string and tune it down from a G to an F. What it does is it gives you the 4th interval, the F chord, more readily available. So playing in this tuning is going to lend itself more to that type of harmony of moving from 1 to 4 versus 1 to 5, which the prior tuning would encourage more. And that naturally just gives it more of sort of an open, ambiguous, jazzy, maybe even a little poppy sound versus more of a folky sound that you're going to get with the open C, the standard open C tuning. The other thing that it's going to do is it's going to make that F note more present when you're playing some different open voicings, which is going to give you a suspended sound. It's going to give you that 11 interval or 4th interval in your chords more. So it's going to naturally lend itself to more open and ambiguous chords. So this is what it sounds like just strummed open. So that's a C major 11 chord, and then you can just bar that. Another thing this gives you is a really accessible F chord. So you have an F major 7 if you just put your pointer finger on the 2nd string of the 2nd fret of the 4th string. The next tuning I want to show you is just another open C tuning. So it's CGCEGC. So what we've done is we've switched a few things around. So now we have our 3rd on what was the G string, the 4th string, and we have the 5th on the 5th string, and the back to a root on the 6th string. So what this has done essentially is kind of reorient us in terms of where our different intervals are. It's also loosened the tension of the string. So this is just a lower tension tuning, which I like. I really like the sound of sort of looser strings, and I really like this tuning because the harmonies I like to go for, the chords I kind of play more often, are just a little bit more accessible. So most notably, the 4th chord can be found here by playing an E7 shape. So your middle finger on the 2nd fret of the 2nd string and your pointer finger on the 1st fret of the 4th string will give you this chord. So I think that is an F major 9 in 2nd inversion. So about as kind of an ambiguous, open sounding 4th F, open sounding F as you could really ask for, and then you can move that that shape around and get your 5th, your G here. If you put down your ring finger on that 2nd fret of the 3rd string, it's going to give you a D, and it will turn the chord into a D minor chord. Well, so that sounds like this. And then if you move this, your middle finger to the lowest string, it's going to put that that D in the bass, so it'll sound more like this. So the last tuning I wanted to touch on briefly, and the reason I say briefly is because I just discovered this tuning, so I have yet to really mess around with it too much, but I know I will be doing that because I absolutely love it. The tuning itself is CGCEBD, which basically is a C major 9 chord. It's an open C major 9, and that's what surprises me so much that I haven't heard this tuning before, because it's probably my favorite chord quality of all time. I love just that major 7/9 sound. It just, it creates such density and such lushness. I heard about this tuning from Hayden Pedigo, who's a guitarist, kind of an ambient American primitive guitarist that I really like. Yeah, I just started learning one of his songs, and that's this tuning. It was in this tuning, I believe, tuned a step down with a capo on the 4th fret, but doesn't really matter. It's the same tuning regardless of kind of where you voice it on the neck. But let me just show you what it sounds like. Yeah, so I think it sounds absolutely fantastic and beautiful, and I definitely plan on learning as much as I can about this tuning. As of right now, as you probably just saw there, all I'm really doing is moving some bar shapes around the neck, because, frankly, with barring, you get so many different harmonies already. And if you bar the 2nd through the 3rd string, if you bar the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th string on any fret, you're going to get that major triad shape. So you can kind of play around with a major triad against some of the different open strings and really just see what you get. And then, of course, just the open strummed C major 9 chord is incredible sounding. So you can always kind of move back to that. If you're just getting started with open tunings on the guitar, I highly recommend that you start with open C and these variations that I showed you today. Have fun with it, paint freely, explore, and if you get time, let me know in the comments which is your favorite, and if you make something with it, feel free to share it there as well. I'll see you next week.